Dengeki shared an extensive version of the Sword Art Online Alicization Lycoris early demo Q&A session with the Gameverse lead Yosuke Futami. Very interesting news regarding the bed scenes, game progression and development process, Infinite Dungeons, PC version additions. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. It's me GamerTorque, the best source of Sword Art Online information here on YouTube, hoping to convince you to smash that subscribe button with my information and stuff. Anyways, the summary from Dengeki came out earlier today, so we translated these as fast as possible once they had come out over at SAO Wikia, so huge thanks to Gishimanas as always for his translations. And now, let's go over these one by one and I'll offer my commentary on certain points as well as provide clarifications where needed. I won't stay too long on what we already covered on Saturday, so I strongly recommend you check that out first, featuring the, demo impressions from Japan, but yeah, now as I said, we'll go point by point, and first off, fall damage exists. Not a huge point, but having no fall damage was great in Hollow Realization, so don't jump down from ledges, I guess. This is gonna be more major than you may think though, considering the game has a lot of verticality thanks to the climbing mechanic, but we'll get there in a bit. You can gain new skills by activating stone statues in the open world. This is actually interesting considering the way Underworld works. Not sure how they are gonna implement this, but these have to be like additional skills like passives, battle skills, etc. Considering with the premise of Alicization, Kirito does know how to use sword skills, and the sword skills are bound by the authority levels and weapon levels, not random statues around the world. So as I said, these have to be extra skills in one way or another. The game development is currently in the optimization phase at this point. They said that it was more or less 40% done in development, but with the foundation pretty much done, it is now all about tweaking, improving, balancing, etc. The gist of this is, you probably should not expect a 2019 release for Alicization Lycoris, considering the game is still midway in development. For this to release in 2019, they more or less needed to be done at this point, leaving them only with bug fixing and reacting to specific feedback, which they are not yet at. This was also one of Senritsu's complaints that we reported on Saturday, but yeah, Futami promises that the UI will be heavily improved compared to what it is today. Here you can see it on the screenshot, and they're actively looking for feedback on what to do better here. Level cap is considered to be set at level 50, however it's not yet decided, and even if it was, it's really hard to say anything about it, without knowing the progression system itself in the first place. Axel Warlord Sesseo had 1000 something levels and it was cancerous, Integral Factor at 50 levels when it first launched and it was also cancerous back then. Fatal Bullet became great with 200 something levels during the DLCs, while Hollow Realization never really had me bothered with leveling in the first place. As I said, it's more about the progression rather than the level count itself. Good news for PC users though, Futami promises more freedom when it comes to key mapping on PC, so chances are you actually are getting some better control schemes on PC as well, considering they're specifically focusing on certain bits for PC too. Infinite Dungeons was a huge topic of discussion. Futami stated that it is something they are considering for Lycoris but are unsure of because, and I quote directly, they are a pain in the ass. However, when the group at the event was asked if they wanted Infinite Dungeons for post-game, they pretty much showed that they wanted it very clearly. As for me, yeah, an Infinite Dungeon provides a lot of replayability for many people. I personally enjoyed the objective-oriented Sacrament Dungeons more back in Hollow Realization, but any kind of post-game content is good in my opinion. The story will not have multiple endings like Fatal Bullet did, and I'm glad about this, just a focus on an impactful narrative. The multiple endings barely made any sense in Fatal Bullet anyway, so that is good news in my opinion. Whether Eugeo will die or not was asked, and Futami remained secretive about it, but he promised they will not betray expectations. I don't even know why they are being secretive about it, considering the reveal trailer pretty much confirmed Eugeo would not die in the first scene it showed anyway, with Blue Rose Sword, winging up rather than the Eugeo sword, as well as Kirito wielding the Blue Rose Sword instead of the Red Rose Sword, and since pre-rendered CGI is rather expensive, I don't see them faking a cutscene in a trailer. Voice recording has been underway for a while already, with Yoshitsugu Matsuoka, Kirito's voice actor, having recorded over 15,000 lines so far. how many characters are playable question actually came with huge confirmations. From Senritsu's reports on Saturday, we knew Yuju and Alice were confirmed, but if anyone else was playable or not was kept secret. With this report, it's been confirmed that there will definitely be more playable characters, with the only secret being their individual identities. If I were to guess, Sortilina, a couple of Integrity Knights including Berkuli, Fanatio, Düsselbert, etc., as well as the goddesses of Underworld, whose identity I will be keeping secret for now for spoiler reasons, will definitely be playable. Futami also mentioned that with the popularity of SAO, they can simply add requested things via updates in the future, so even if your favorite character is not playable in the base game, don't lose your hope. The spider boss in the demo was apparently a little too hard. Futami mentioned that the balancing process is still ongoing though, so this is to be expected. He also stated that the game won't be too reliant on buffs, having learned their lesson from Hollow Realization and its buff/EX skill spams. Fight mechanics are still being refined and a way to ward off attacks is in development, although they don't want to provide too much emphasis on that either. They want to keep it, engaging and challenging, but also fun and not feel like a chore at the same time. On the topic of battles, a lot of sword skills, battle skills, and sacred arts are planned for the game. There's also post-skill delay on your sword skills, but you can cancel it out based on how you use sacred arts. I'm really interested to see what will come out of this, because it's a little bit vague. Now, Skill Connect has been confirmed for sword skills in general, but we're not at that point yet. Sacred arts are charging skills, and you have to stay still while you charge the elements. I genuinely wonder how much depth they will give to the combat. It will be amazing if they just let us charge elements on the offhand, lunge with a Vorpal Strike, then once Vorpal Strike lands, burst elements on your offhand for a combo kind of thing that way. That would be amazing. I'm really excited about this one and how it's gonna turn out. As mentioned, the game has a climbing mechanic and geometry to use it on. People were apparently complaining with the motion switch from walking to climbing action, so I believe this is one of those things that'll get tossed in the "we're in early development" basket, so nothing to worry about here. Again, Futami said a lot of characters won't be in the game due to the lack of Soul Translator units, and as I say every single time, I don't want to go into spoiler territory for War of Underworld, but we all know this is just a temporary excuse to dodge the question, and it is not a good dodge. Just say that it's a secret for now or something, not this false excuse. People asked about the possible real-world sections, but Futami said that would be too much of an investment to be reasonable. They could just make the real world into a walking simulator running in the same game engine, but it seems like the approach to Lycoris is, if we put something in the game, we're not gonna half-ass it, so that kinda makes me happy. Ikuria has always been passionate about their SAO games, do the best they can, and that does not seem to have changed. If they think, a real-world section is gonna be at the detriment of the game, better not include it. I'm perfectly happy with that. For bed scenes, Futami said not to have too much hope for the concept of quote-unquote bed scenes specifically, but again, he's essentially saying exactly what I said after the Saturday news drop. Possibilities of fan service is pretty much limitless. Well, you'll have it one way or another. They're looking for replacements for that specific thing to, show the characters to you in fan servicey ways. An online PvP is not in the works, considering how it turned out in Hollow Realization. This was definitely a good call in my opinion, but they have been tight-lipped about a possible co-op multiplayer. The way they keep not denying it, it makes me think that, it's just a matter of how much time they will have left at the end to implement it. I'm certain something like, Hollow Realization online co-op is very much on the table for the development team, and they just don't want to promise something at this point if they cannot deliver for certain right now. We'll definitely hear more about a possible multiplayer co-op in the future. Interestingly, collabs with other series are being considered, but yeah, don't think as a huge crossover event kind of thing. This is probably the usual vendor outfit stuff, like the God Eater outfit back in Hollow Realization. Don't get your hopes up too much. The minimap that was not present in the demo is still in the baking oven, and as I mentioned earlier, as a product of the Seed Nexus, Skill Connect makes a return once again to chain back-to-back skills. I do hope they do something creative with it though this time around. In Hollow Fragment it was game-breaking. Hollow Realization felt too easy. I'm interested to see how they will implement Skill Connect in Lycoris. But that's pretty much it. Again, we're only 1,000 people away from 25k subscribers, so if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and the bell icon for the best news coverage on everything Sword Art Online. Alternatively, following at GamerTurk95 and at SA_Wiki on Twitter is another great way to get your SAO news as fast as possible. As always, huge thanks to Gishimenas for his translations, to you for watching, and to my patrons and YouTube members for supporting me directly. I'll see you next time, stay cool.